Punch-Out! Arcade Edition! I was super excited when I heard that they're going to be releasing this game for the Switch. I haven't played this version of Punch-Out since it was in the arcades. Well, to be fair, it really wasn't in an arcade, but more of a grocery store which had arcade games. Do you remember those days when 7-Elevens had arcade machines? Man, that was definitely the 80s. Anyway, I love Punch-Out games, and I remember loving this game. I also remember being slightly disappointed that the NES version of Punch-Out was more gimmicky than the arcade version. Playing it again after many years, my memory may have been flawed. Although I think the graphics were very impressive, it was hampered with very repetitive gameplay and bad controls. First off, I do want to say this is sort of a snap judgment review. I was unable to beat the second fighter, even on the easiest difficulty. There are 6 fighters to play, but the gameplay is basically the same, only with different patterns with other fighters. So it's a snap judgment, but I really do know what the game is all about. This is a lot like my PlayChoice 10 arcade machine, as it has 2 screens. One for the health bars and stats of the fighters, and the other one for the boxing ring. It was nice that they didn't need to have all that stuff on the screen, which meant that they had more stuff on the screen for other things. So they really did utilize the 2 screens well. So that's why the screen is showing 2 different things. It's the top screen and the bottom screen. You can turn it long ways if you want to play handheld mode. I tried it that way, but I prefer it the way it was. Visually, the game looks very impressive. This was made back in 1984. It looks good even to today's standards when it comes to cartoonish graphics. When you're boxing, your character is in a green wireframe, so you can see through him to watch the boxer that you're fighting. If you want to do a body blow, you're going to have to put down your fists and punch. However, that means you're going to be open to attacks. To do a normal punch, you just have to get your fists up and punch. To do an uppercut, you have to wait until the gauge fills up, and you can keep doing it until you miss or the other fighter hits you. My main problem with the game is the controls, as it wouldn't always read my button pushes correctly. It wasn't an issue with me incorrectly pushing buttons. It would ignore quite a few of my button pushes, whether it be dodging or punching. I would say about 70% of the time it would work as it was intended, which is really a problem because in a boxing game you need split-second timing. I knew there was a problem with the game when I couldn't even beat Glass Joe. He's the most basic fighter. I did eventually get past him, but really, trying to beat the others with these controls was just too frustrating to play. You can continue from where you were once. After that, you're right back to the beginning. I don't know why this game is so hard in that regards. Why wouldn't you want the player to keep putting in quarters? Sending them back to the beginning like that doesn't seem like a very good way of getting people to keep playing your game. There is a high score mode and a caravan mode. The high score mode lets you play until you lose and ranks your high score with others who have played. And the caravan mode gives you 5 minutes to get as high a score as possible. Punch-Out Arcade Edition was something that I thought I would love. Graphically, it's beautiful for a game made in 1984. Unfortunately, the clunky controls made it a chore to play. When you're playing a boxing game, it should be precisely controlled, and this game is far from it. This is not just another example of me sucking at video games. It really would not register some of my button pushes. So I really think you should skip it because of these control issues. Unless you're really interested on the beginning history of a Punch-Out game. Because it's cheap enough to say, yeah, you could go for it then. But if you're looking for a fun boxing game to play, I would say skip it, mainly because it gives you more frustration than fun.